Test. Okay, there we go. And we're good. My computer restarted, so I can't believe none of that in the first 2.5 minutes had audio. Thank you, Dee in the comments, for pointing that out. Okay, so what it didn't record earlier was that this was sort of an impromptu style stream. Dee says perfect. Thank you, Dee again for reaching out. That would have been embarrassing had I gone this long without audio. So appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to try to get some of these links out to the main social sites so we can really get going. I actually hit the live stream button on accident to start because I usually do this on Facebook, not YouTube. And so Facebook has a two-step system to begin streaming. YouTube, you just hit live on the software. In this case, I'm using OBS Studio, and it just instantly started streaming. So I was a little bit off guard. So thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to go ahead and post this to the main page, and let's pick up where I left off. So, pointing out how we were watching some thunderstorms earlier, and keeping an eye on this storm crossing easterly, so east to west, coming from the east over White Pass at the moment. This is approaching Cayuse Pass. So maybe some small hail popping up in this little core right here. See, plenty of lightning. Storms over Mount Rainier have since dissipated. Storms near Mount St. Helens have dissipated. Seen a few distant lightning strikes up here in the rigorous terrain of Whatcom County. So can't get much of a good radar image on that, but it is producing lightning. Okay. Test. Hey, sorry guys, was getting another audio error for a second, so let me post this to the main Facebook page if you guys are coming in from there. Alright, so at the moment we have no weather advisories along the Cascades. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning for a storm approaching Grants Pass at the moment. So let me just switch radars real quick. That's a big boy right there. Go into dual plane mode so I can see what the velocity is looking like. Just checking to see if there's any rotation in the storm at the moment, which it's weak, but it is certainly there. So this storm is it's mostly stationary. So that's what's kind of weird with these storms, is most of them are staying stationary. So usually the kind of storm setup that we get with monsoonal moisture up here, because there's not very much wind shear to really get the storms in motion. So they just kind of sit there and just usually produce lightning bolt after lightning bolt, but not much for precipitation. This is just because the layer of moisture is thin, and it's also in a certain layer of the atmosphere, not near the surface. So the air towards the surface is dry in retrospect to the air above the surface. And that's why we're getting most of these storms starting in the higher terrains, because a process called orographic lift is able to lift that moisture into an unstable air mass and initiate storm development. Okay, so the live announcement is going out on Facebook at this time. Now we can really start to bring the audience in. Okay, so we were at 4 viewers just a second ago, 3 of you now. I guess let me turn my lights on because I was not ready for the stream. Wow. I'm a little bit rusty to start. Bear with me, guys. So, anyways, my name's Anthony. I'm the host of Puget Sound Stormwatch on Facebook and YouTube. Watching the follower count go up right now on Facebook as well. It's good because there was one time during one of my vacations where the follower count was actually negative. That was almost terrifying to see. But we are currently at 19,561 followers on Facebook and counting. That means we're 439 away from the big 20K. All right, let me also put this on my X account too. And of course, I got to sign back in. Let me actually do this on my phone. That'll be much easier. It'll take much less time. Okay, there we go. Go back, see if we have any new comments. Okay, 2 likes. Thank you guys for liking. If you guys are interested in more streams like this, specifically on YouTube, feel free to share to your friends. Also, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. You just check the YouTube channel at the moment. We are currently at 341 subs and counting. So even though there's been basically no activity the last 2 weeks on YouTube, I've still netted a positive gain on subscribers. Okay, Jay has a couple of comments in Spanish. Let me see how much of this I can translate on my own. Los ciclones, meaning cyclones. Los ciclones tropicales, so hurricanes. Category 3, Puerto Rico. Con que se formen gales que pasar al oeste de Puerto Rico, llegando a la zona combinaciones ricos cada hurricane key. So I'm guessing you're talking about Hurricane Aaron, right? So were you in Hurricane Aaron? Sorry. So I prefer comments in English. However, I have no problem with comments in Spanish. Just letting you know that I won't be able to fully translate them. So thank you very much, Jay, for bearing with me. Trying to get the stream link on my X account at the moment because my X account has been really growing. So if you guys want to follow me on X, my name is Anthony Croyle with a lightning bolt on it. I'm also verified on X, so I have the blue check mark. It is at Milton WA Tech 99. So at Milton WA Tech 99 on X. Okay. I just realized that entire time did not even copy the URL. This should work. Okay, there we go. So the stream is now live on X and Facebook. Right? Any comments, questions, or concerns so far? Trying to get the audience here real quick, so just bear with me. It's going to start out a little bit slow, but I do intend to go into full coverage here in the next few minutes. Right now, I'm looking at the RadarScope Pro app on PC. This costs $30 if you're interested. It's a really high-end professional grade software, so these are not storms or rain. These are radar echoes being picked up off the ocean. You see this sometimes when you have capping inversions, typically. We're still kind of keeping an eye on this storm over White Pass at the moment. It has produced some lightning in the past few minutes, but a lot of it is from before the last 15 minutes, so it's not producing as much lightning right now. But there's a nearly stationary thunderstorm west of Rimrock Lake along Highway 12. So this is White Pass right here where my mouse is. This is Cayuse Pass, so this is Highway 123, and then Highway 410 over Chinook Pass is right here. So maybe a little bit of shower activity over Chinook at the moment. Okay, Western Washington weather. We have Matthew Fab in the house, everybody. So go subscribe to Western Washington weather. Really great person. It was a pleasure meeting him in real life, not once but twice. He says, RadarScope is so worth it. Don't know how I would function without it, and I'm not kidding. Well, the truth is, I've been using RadarScope for near half of my life now, as a matter of fact. I'm 25, and I've at least been using it since, I'd like to say I was 14 or 15, because I used a few generic radar apps before that. So if you guys were around during the early times, the early stages of Puget Sound Stormwatch, that is actually when I was using the more generic radar images rather than what RadarScope Pro show. It's more like weather under map, or the map that they show on WeatherBug or AccuWeather, any of those. But yes, it is 100% worth it getting RadarScope Pro. And you have tiers as well. So I'm on Pro Tier 2, which has all of the features. The only bad news is you do have to pay for the software as well as the tier expansion. So just be ready to shell out at least $40, worst case scenario. Okay, with this last radar scan, now watching a nearly stationary storm to the north of Lake Cochise right now. This is moving west, probably anywhere between 5 to 10 miles per hour at this time. Maybe a little bit of a hail signature on here. See if we can pull up some other maps. I'm going to switch it to, let's switch it to Echo Tops. I'm going to go in dual plane mode here. So this is velocity that's going to show up. The velocity isn't going to be very accurate since it's over the mountains. Let's see if we can get a reading on this real fast. Nope, it's going to be a little troublesome. Okay, that's fine. There we go. So Echo Tops. Then go to the inspector tool. There we go. So the highest top on this at the moment is about 25,000 feet. The highest radar reflectivity is 61.5 decibels. So definitely on the higher end of Washington standards, at least for Western Washington. While this is technically Eastern Washington, this will be moving into Western Washington across Snoqualmie Pass here soon. So be aware, if you know anyone that is crossing Snoqualmie Pass anytime soon, I'd say in the next hour or so, just give them a buzz and tell them that the weather's going to get a bit blustery here real quick. And no new activity up here. We did have some lightning activity with this little cell that isn't showing up well on the radar up here in the Cascades of eastern Whatcom County. Switch back to the Portland radar site. See if these are showing up any differently. Not really. A lot of activity popping up down here in the NWS Medford area. As you can see, strong to severe storms all around southwestern Oregon and northwestern California at this time. even some new flash flood warnings popping up as well. I believe these are burn scars if I'm not mistaken. So there will be precipitation with the heavier storms like these, but any of the lighter precipitation like the storms up this way, for example, up here, you may not be getting any precipitation that's reaching the ground, and that's because of that shallow monsoonal moisture layer that is aloft, which means above ground. Go check on things on Facebook real quick. Okay, and then I also sent out a lot of invite requests on my Facebook to a lot of people who are non-followers. So if you're coming over from Facebook and you're not following the page at the moment, I would highly recommend accepting that invite. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Really see it on Mount Rainier webcams. Okay. Let me go ahead and switch tabs real quick because we're really just watching the radar at this moment. But let's go look at some models real quick while we're at it. Let me just make sure I'm pulling up the right screen here because I do not want to pull up the wrong screen. Okay, here we go. Looking at some weather models now. Also pulling up the IEMBot monitor. This is what I use to watch out for any new alerts as they come in. Got the CTAC, the Seattle office, as well as the Portland office. So no new alerts at this time. This will tell me if there's any special weather statements, severe thunderstorm warnings, etc. going on at the moment. But for now, I want to also pull up pivotal weather too. This can be useful in a lot of aspects. So I'm going to zoom into the regional view and we're going to look at some of these categorical outlooks real quick. So this is for day one. Hang on, got to adjust the mic here for a second. Okay, so this is the day one thunderstorm outlook. We have a general thunderstorm risk for the Cascades of western and eastern Washington. This does also apply to some of the foothills and lowlands of eastern Washington. Majority of Oregon, about 60% of Idaho, and a lot of the desert southwest. Let's see real quick if Oregon and whatnot are mentioned in this discussion, because I did see it earlier. Saw California. Scattered to numerous storms are expected to develop today across much of the interior western continental U.S. As the ridging pattern weakens, this will allow, as it says, multiple weak mid-level perturbations. So perturbations are just disruptions, so little pops in the flow. This is what really enhances severe weather and gives us the thunderstorm chance around here that we see normally. These little disruptions in the atmospheric pattern. In this case, ones that are caused by troughs or areas of low pressure. Mainly the ones aloft. So upper level troughs. Usually when you get little perturbations in the flow above the ground, this causes the lifting mechanism that you need to develop storms around here. The same usually applies to the Midwest. However, you don't have as much orographic enhancement as you have west of the Rockies. Do we have any new questions or comments on YouTube? Anyone who's watching, if you'd like to chime in, feel free. I'm open to any form of Q&A at this time as we watch thunderstorms develop over the Cascades. More interesting one is the day two categorical outlook. This includes about 90% of Washington and 85 to 90% of Oregon in it. trying to read this in real time, so bear with me. I'm going to pull up the part that applies to our region of the US. So far, I'm just seeing most of it in South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa at the moment. Not really going over much of west of California, like northwest of California, really. Seeing some of Colorado and Wyoming, and most of this is because of the monsoonal moisture making its way out of the desert southwest. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything that really applies at the moment to the Pacific Northwest. See, most of it is well southeast of here, but just know that this is for tomorrow. So see how it says valid Wednesday, 1200 Z. So this is 1200 Zulu time, which if you subtract 7 from this, this will be 5 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So this is valid tomorrow at 5 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, in effect until Thursday, 5 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So I was seeing some of our area in the day 3 outlook, but it seems that they're pushing it a little bit farther east now. So some of the northern Cascades are included on this day 3 risk. And this is Thursday 5 a.m. to Friday 5 a.m. Now what's really going to be interesting is after this period, I'll be paying attention to tomorrow's categorical outlooks, especially the day 3, because Friday, Saturday, Sunday, especially Saturday and Sunday, looks to be really interesting around this part of the Pacific Northwest, particularly Western BC, Vancouver Island, and Northwestern Washington. We could have a thunderstorm outbreak coming up here this weekend, and we'll go more into that here shortly. But first, I'd like to establish a stable audience here and make sure everything technical-wise is going stable, because the first 5 minutes or so was a little bit rough starting up. So thank you for those of you who are still tuning in and watching. If you guys are impressed with coverage so far or would like to share the stream, I would highly recommend that. I'm looking to do split streams mostly between Facebook and YouTube over the next few days as storms really begin to fire around the Cascades and possibly points west. Going to check the radar real quick for any new scans. Nothing really sticking out at the moment, so in that case we're going to go back and look at some weather models here real quick. So the brand new 18Z Euro. This is the 11 a.m. run today. So let me go ahead and zoom out. I'm at the city level right now, so we're going to zoom out to the Pacific Northwest level here real quick and really show you this monsoonal moisture and just how abundant it is at the moment. So this is a simulation starting at 11 a.m. today, and we're going to put this into motion. So this is 5 p.m. So 5 p.m. you see these really high precipitable water values here, southeast Oregon, western Idaho, and extreme northern Nevada. So notice how this moisture is really going to start to advect to the north quite a bit. See, it's taken over eastern Washington, particularly the Columbia River Basin and the Blue Mountain region. Now we really need some of these blue contours to take over the Cascades to have a really good chance of storm development over the Cascades in the next couple of days. This is Wednesday at 1 p.m. You can see these lighter blue contours. These are really high precipitable water values for this time of the year. These are anomalies percentage of normal. So the most it shows is 270% above normal, which is incredible. That is some of these pink spots that you see around here. These are 270 and up. Go through the day Wednesday, you can see a lot of this precipitable water is really starting to leak down into the valleys of western Washington, which is extremely sufficient for storm development. And you notice some of this drier air along the Oregon coast is really going to inhibit the storm activity out here at this time. So by Thursday morning, this is 7 a.m. Thursday morning, a lot of this monsoonal moisture has taken over a majority of Washington state. So it is for the most part moved out of Oregon and moved into Washington. We're going to see how this plays out through the end of this model run. So around this time, you're going to notice this spin start to take over. I posted this on my Facebook page earlier. We're going to notice this little feature that really forms out of thin air in southwestern Washington, and it's going to start spinning this moisture around. And then what we want to watch here too is this next feature that you see spinning moisture off the coast. This is going to be our main area of interest come Saturday and Sunday in particular. So you notice that counterclockwise spin over western Washington. Okay. Tom Forker on Facebook says, thanks for your observations and assessment. Tom, if you're watching the stream right now, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. I appreciate all your support. So I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. We're going to zoom to the northwest region and really put this into perspective. So in order to really show what this is doing, we need to switch to, let's go 500 millibar height anomaly. So at the moment, we have this huge upper level ridging pattern over central British Columbia. So watch as it begins to break down. We have this upper level trough start to develop here at the end of this upper level ridge. This is tomorrow at 5 p.m. Watch how it starts to amplify over the region. So see, it's trying to merge with this upper level trough rapidly developing off the coast. And then as that moves north and dissipates, watch what we see as we go further on into the run. So this is Sunday at 5 a.m., the most recent run of the European forecast model. Shows this trough temporarily parking over southern Vancouver Island and the Olympic Peninsula, and then it's forecasted to rotate back out to sea. So let's put this into a faster motion. So here's the trough that we're watching the next couple days. That could give us some storm activity around western Washington, particularly an influx in storm activity over the Cascades as it pulls in the monsoonal moisture from the desert southwest. Then this upper level trough that cuts off from the jet stream will start to rapidly weaken as it moves in. So this is Sunday morning, and then it weakens down to heights of about 573 decameters. And then it starts to re-intensify a little bit as it bounces southwest back in the sea. So to really get the elongated picture, I have to go back one run to the 12Z. This is the 5 a.m. and show you guys what this is doing afterward. So it bounces back out to sea, re-intensifies, and then it's out of the picture, or so you think. This ridge will try to re-amplify over the west coast, but then watch what happens after that. Possibly clipped by a monster trough that moves in the Haida Gwaii. This is way out to Wednesday, September 10th, though, so this should be taken with a grain of salt. Just a heads up, we're way out in fantasy land at this point. This will be interesting to watch as time goes on. You see it has a deep surface low associated with falling atmospheric heights. So this is forecast to be anywhere between 988 and 995 millibars as it moves into northern Vancouver Island and Haida Gwaii region. Looks like we may have an associated cold front that could bring some interesting weather conditions. And maybe an atmospheric river on top of it. To really show this, we have to go to the precipitable water, and yeah, textbook atmospheric river signal being shown at the end of the 12Z European run. This should be taken with a grain of salt once again, but I'm gonna sort of sound the alarm on this because the AI European model, which I posted on my subscriber page not long ago, has also been showing this solution for a few days. We're starting to get some agreement on an atmospheric river to begin September. Let me zoom this out a little farther. So we're going to go to the North American zoom level to really show where this atmospheric river is pulling its moisture from. You can really start to see this upper level trough develop here. This is 162 hours out, so this is Monday, September 1st at 11. So the first day of September, we're going to put this into motion and see what happens. Then that surface low will really start to pull in this band of moisture from the northern Pacific. The good news is that the largest influx of moisture appears to be relatively short-lived. And the best news is we have significant rainfall chances with this. So let me go back to the state level real quick, just show Washington. And go to precipitation total forecast. So by the end of the 360-hour run of the 12Z European model, this is what it shows around Washington state. Even measurable precipitation for eastern Washington as well. But what really catches my eye are these precipitation amounts here as you go inland inland north and east of Vancouver, BC, along the Cascade foothills of British Columbia, as well as the coast of the Olympic Peninsula here. Over 5 inches of rain possible from now through the next 15 days, if this model were to verify. C is picking up the rain shadow signal here as well. Let's zoom into the city level a little more. So this will pretty much zoom in on Western Washington. Let's go to 24-hour precipitation amounts. So this is starting Wednesday at 5 a.m. It's picking up quite a bit of measurable precipitation around the mountains. So Mount St. Helens is here, Mount Rainier is here. We start picking up some measurable precipitation, possibly in Western Washington. This has 0.15 inches of rain for Arlington. This is between... Let me just make sure I'm reading this right. Okay, yes. So this is between Wednesday, August 27th, so tomorrow from 3 a.m. to Thursday, August 28th at 3 a.m. This is 24 hours prior to the time that it shows up here. So tomorrow at 3 a.m. to Thursday at 3 a.m. could see anywhere between 0.1 and 0.2 inches of rain for Arlington. This is how to read this map. You see these 24-hour precipitation amounts are going to start to decay over time. And then look what happens starting Saturday. Actually, I should say between Friday and Saturday, since this is a range. Start to pick up perhaps some convective showers off the coast and some of the southern Puget Sound region. This is between Friday at 8 a.m. and Saturday at 8 a.m. Potentially significant rainfall for parts of Western Washington as that upper level trough parks over Western Washington and then begins to bounce back out to sea. And then this European model is also suggesting some more isolated showers, particularly in the higher mountains. But then watch as we go between Saturday and Sunday. So this is really when that trough starts to park over Western Washington. Start to see some higher rainfall amounts here along the coast into the Olympics, and even perhaps an inch between Sunday at 5 a.m. and Monday at 5 a.m. for Bellingham and vicinity. And just look at some of the ridiculous 24-hour rainfall amounts. This is between Monday, the 9th of September at 11 p.m. and Tuesday, September 9th at 11 p.m. I think I might have said Monday, September 9th, so my bad on that. Monday, September 8th and Tuesday, September 9th. So we are way out in fantasy land here. This should once again, be taken lightly. You know, there's a good chance that this forecast will change in time, but if we were to go at the end of this map, so this is between Tuesday the 9th and Wednesday the 10th, 5 a.m. to 5 a.m. Noticeable rain shadow over Whidbey Island and surrounding areas. But really significant precipitation possible for the lowlands of Bellingham going into Abbotsford and vicinity of the Fraser River Valley. See, this is over 3.33 inches in 24 hours between that time, if it were to verify. This is a huge, huge if at the moment. Let's go back to the most recent updated run of the Euro. Let's take a look at some wind gusts, because someone brought up wind gusts earlier, wondering if this was more of a surface-based feature. It's not, but we will check out wind gusts. This is the accumulated max wind gusts, so the highest wind gusts over the duration of this model, which is 144 hours from the time of initiation. In this case, 11 a.m. today. So this is between Saturday at 5 p.m., Saturday 11 p.m. Little bit of a westerly surge perhaps, but other than that, not much in terms of wind gusts around here, since all of this activity is elevated. It won't have much going on towards the ground in this case. Time to go back and look at radar real quick. See if there's any significant updates on the radar. So good news for this storm complex here east of Packwood. Not much going on in terms of lightning as of recent. Still possibly some rain hitting the ground here. So these cells are a little bit southwest of White Pass at the moment, moving along US 12 very slowly. So if you're in Packwood or know anyone in Packwood, be advised that there is a slight chance of flash flooding with these cells as they move over mainly rural areas, thankfully, of Lewis County. So with the lighter showers, not a lot of precip is reaching the ground. This is because of dry air near the surface. This monsoonal moisture is in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, so not much of that monsoonal moisture is mixing down towards the ground. But with the heavier showers, this can drop the moisture level down farther to the surface as we get downdrafts with these storms. The downdrafts, like for example, as we see with heavier showers during snow events, a lot of the time the snow doesn't reach the ground because it's too dry near the ground. The downdrafts within these storms will pull that moist air down towards the ground and drop the snow level in the winter. Same can be said for monsoonal moisture right now. So these are extremely slow moving cells, maybe not even moving at all for the most part. So we'll have to see if these hang together as they move towards the Packwood area. Skipped ahead too far. See this decaying cell, what's left of it. We did have some lightning on this earlier. This was the cell over the north end of Lake Cochise. It really hasn't moved very much, but maybe some heavy rain possible as you come down Snoqualmie Pass through Hyack, going into Easton. If you know anyone going over Snoqualmie Pass soon, tell them there's a chance that they could run into some heavy rain for a short time going over the pass. Good news is not seeing any new lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes along the Cascade crest. But the fire danger is still elevated. Just as a heads up. Gonna take a quick water break real quick, so hang tight. Gonna check out some Facebook comments while we're in sort of a pause right now. So one of my main priorities, at least as a Facebook page, is to interact with my audience. So I'll go through and like and react to a majority of the comments as long as they're not spam or spreading any sort of hate speech. And especially no politics. I have a strict no politics policy on any of my pages. This is 100% weather, nothing more, nothing less. Just checking out the reach on the posts. Well, good thing is I'm seeing a lot of shares, so it's good to see that the engagement's there. The posts are really reaching and spreading, and I'm hoping, at least by the end of this event, I'm hoping that we hit 20K on Facebook. Because we are still 439 page followers away from hitting the big 20K. Looks like it's time to send out some more page invites. So if you're migrating over from Facebook and watching this at the moment and you have not followed Puget Sound Stormwatch, I've sent invites out to you either today or any time in the last month. So if you could do me a huge favor by accepting that invite request, I promise that you will not be disappointed with storm coverage. That's a guarantee. Okay, so we have 9 people watching at the moment and 5 stream likes. Thank you everyone for liking the stream. Let's start to get that YouTube algorithm going. My YouTube has really been neglected for the most part, severely overshadowed by my Facebook page. Trying to really start to change that now that Puget Sound Stormwatch has been full-time for about 3 weeks now. 3 weeks and 1 day is when I quit my day job to do this full-time. And I have zero regrets. Because there's a good chance I wouldn't be able to do full-time coverage like this if I still was working where I was before. Let me also go ahead and pull up the live sub counter too. I can remember where it's at. There we go. Real-time live count. Gonna move this over to the main page, and I'm gonna keep my eye on that. As we are now up to 342 subscribers. Thank you to whoever just subscribed. You are the MVP. Let's go and switch back over to that subscriber count right now. So 342 subs and counting. My goal is to hopefully hit 400 subs by the end of the night. So see if we can get to 400 subs. Guys, if you like what you're seeing so far, give the stream a share, like, comment, and of course, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Let's really get those YouTube algorithms pumping. George, thank you for your comment. Rain for Arlington, Darrington, and Skagit when possible, please. I caught the end of what you were showing. So, better chances of rain for your area through this weekend. It's looking like the best chances of rain are probably going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, and Saturday and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday has the best chance of widespread rain going into the first week of September. As I was showing before, that upper level trough is expected to just park over our region for at least a day and then move back out to sea. You see if I can show you again what I was talking about, but if you came over from my X account, I posted something about a spin. This is really shown well on the upper level moisture map. So this is 500 millibar or 18,000 feet above ground level moisture values. So relative humidity in this case. You can see that spin take effect as that upper level trough begins to form within the end of this ridge here. So this is Thursday at 8 a.m. And watch as that moisture spins, and then the next feature spins in. And then stops, parks, and then goes right back out to sea after that. Really, really cool to see this cyclogenesis form here over the western Oregon coast. Because you can see, at first there's really nothing. The black bars are height contours here. Watch as this height contour of 582 decameters forms right here, and then you get this spin that starts to form. George says, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. See if we can get this subscriber counter to update. I think we're just stuck at 342 at the moment. Last 7 days. So we have netted 5 subscribers in the last 7 days. Kind of a given that is so low since the activity has been little to none. I did post a YouTube short update before my first little vacation, if you call it that, although it was bereavement leave, right before I left to Indiana the first time. So that was August 10th. Before I left to Indiana, I was in Indiana for 2 nights, came back, stayed for, I believe, 2 or 3 full days, and then flew back out to Minneapolis, drove to Wisconsin for a wedding for 5 days, and then I just came back yesterday. Thank you for another subscription. Highly appreciate that. Jet City Comics says, doing a great job. Thank you for tuning in, and if you just subscribed, thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Hoping to do more live streams like this in the future as we are heading into Pacific Northwest storm season. And I guess we could say we're starting it off with a bang. I appreciate all the kind words, everybody. We've been streaming for about 50 minutes now, going on to an hour. It's probably just because I'm streaming on a Tuesday night again, and school's going to be starting up soon, so people are probably starting to get dinner done and head to sleep here shortly. Not really great for the YouTube algorithms, but it is what it is. If I would have started this on Saturday or even Friday night, it probably would be doing much greater numbers. And as a matter of fact, my YouTube follower counter on my time clock down here where I'm watching all the Facebook followers has not updated yet. So we are now at 344 subscribers and counting, plus 3 since I started the stream. Thank you guys for all you do. I just saw +1 on the Facebook follower counter as well. Really, really refreshing to see, truthfully. So this spin here over the next couple days, once this upper level trough really starts to form here in northwestern Oregon and moves up slowly through western Washington, this is going to give us our best chance of storms during the week, not counting the weekend. So we could see some isolated storms pop up west of the Cascades over the next 2 days until this feature really begins to move north and is overshadowed by this rapidly developing upper level trough off the coast that will start to weaken as it moves onshore. See how it starts to lose a couple of those height contours in the middle there over time. So this is 567 decameters, and then the heights rise up to 573 decameters, which indicates weakening of the trough. And it parks for about a day and then floats right back out to sea after that. So this is showing some diffluent air aloft, also known as divergent flow aloft. So this would be the best chance to get thunderstorms west of the Cascades, because this is going to induce the lifting mechanism needed for storms to initiate. With the sufficient monsoonal moisture in place and particularly favorable instability profiles, and I want to take a look at that here in a second as well, this would be the best chance for storms here with the placement of this trough, where you get the divergent flow west of the Cascades and you get the southeasterly low-level flow component coming in off the Cascades as well. So this is for Saturday at 2 p.m. So really, for the duration of Saturday afternoon going into Sunday afternoon, we have a prime chance for thunderstorms west of the Cascade crest. Really, it's going to be storms will form overhead the Cascades due to orographic lift that will create what's called upscale ascent. And then we'll need that southeasterly flow aloft to drag these thunderstorms down into the river valleys. Toby Barnett says, liked and subbed. Hello all. Thank you, Toby, for your subscription. Very much appreciated. It's people like you that make this worth doing and keep Puget Sound Stormwatch as a Facebook and YouTube page afloat. So thank you to people like you. Thank you to everyone who has liked. We're up to 9 likes. We at most have had 12 viewers. We have 93 total views, and the average view duration is almost 4 minutes. Now I want to go back to pivotal weather real quick. So I've had a few people showing me some runs of the HER 3KM model. This is as far as I can zoom in on Pivotal, unfortunately, without paying for the Pivotal Plus subscription. See, in order to go into the state level, you need Pivotal Weather Plus, but you can zoom into the regional level. So we're going to go to the Northwest sector right here. And we're going to switch over to composite reflectivity. Well, so far, the 0Z is still rendering, so we'll go to the 23Z HER. So not showing much in terms of shower activity so far. So this is the 4 p.m. run of the HER 3KM high-res model. They call these CAM models, also known as convection allowing models. These are the short-range ones where you can really pinpoint where storms and showers are going to be at what time, given a little bit of fluctuation. Usually you need plus or minus 1 to 2 hours in order to forecast this properly, just because of model deviations. See, so this is the recent 48-hour run, the 18Z. These 48-hour runs are done every 6 hours, but the hourly ones are 18 hours. Let's look up lightning flash density. Put this into motion. Let's see, it has maybe some lightning flashes around the Tacoma area here, if this model were to verify. Okay, just got the update on my LaMetric Time smart clock. We are at 345 subscribers. And that poses true. So far, so good. We are 55 subs away from our goal of 400 for the night. I have a feeling we may fall just shy of that due to the time and day of the stream, but you know what? That's okay. I have no problem with that whatsoever. No updates from the offices in Seattle and Portland at the moment. So let's correlate this with the timing. Maybe some lightning flashes over Tacoma at 3 p.m. tomorrow if this model were to verify. 22Z is the equivalent of 1500 hours Pacific Daylight Time, or 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time tomorrow. Got a few new frames on the 0Z. So this is the 5 p.m. model run of the HER 3KM now coming into range of the event. Not quite there yet. So I'm going to switch to my favorite model by far, the NAM 3KM. Oh, the 18Z is fully initialized now. Let's see what the radar images have to say. Hang on. Okay. So maybe some isolated storms here along the coast and maybe portions of southwest Washington. This is 1 a.m. Thursday. Just got an update. There we go. So we have a special weather statement now in effect. This is for the storm that's moving into Packwood at the moment. So here's what it's saying. A strong thunderstorm will impact portions of east central Lewis County through 6:30 p.m. Strong thunderstorm over Packwood moving south at 5 miles per hour. Winds in excess of 30 miles per hour and pea-sized hail are likely. This is a radar-indicated threat. So this includes the city of Packwood. So if you know anyone in or around the city of Packwood, please get the word out to them as soon as possible. Strong thunderstorm is bearing down on them, and there is a small chance of flash flooding due to the slow-moving nature of the storm. Still at 3:45, okay. It's a good thing I received that update when I did. So I'm gonna go post that on Facebook real quick, so hang on as I do that real fast. Okay, posted it on Facebook. I just made a post about this update that I got about a strong thunderstorm over eastern Lewis County. I'm going to switch back to radar scope here for a moment and show you guys what I'm looking at. See, so originally I was watching this cell over White Pass, a little bit south of White Pass. And it has since sort of dissolved into this cell that has really started intensifying over Cayuse Pass. So this was the Mount Rainier cell earlier. See, the time on this is 3:53. We're skipping to 6:12 p.m., showing a strong thunderstorm moving just north of Packwood, but most of it should envelop Packwood here in just a moment. Lots of lightning popping up now. I'm afraid that some of this may be dry lightning, so I wouldn't be surprised to hear about a few fire starts in eastern Lewis County. But this storm is only moving at 5 miles per hour. So it's not going to cover much ground in the time during the duration of the special weather statement. So in the next 15 minutes, there's a good chance this storm does not make it far out of the Packwood city limit. Also eyeballing some activity near Snoqualmie Pass as well. You give the radar a second to load. Ooh. Hang on, guys. I've been sitting for over an hour, so bear with me here for a second. There we go. So new lightning strikes over eastern Whatcom County. This is rural Whatcom County. This is north of Highway 20 in North Cascades National Park. So we are picking up some new lightning strikes in this area as these cells start to move off the Cascades into the foothills of Skagit and Whatcom counties. So just a heads up, if you're in the area of Ross Lake, Diablo Lake, or New Halem, do be aware that there are thunderstorms in the vicinity. All of this is radar junk. Just ignore that. We're still seeing maybe some cells trying to pop up here between the Cascades of King County and the Cascades of Lewis County. We may be seeing some activity re-intensify in your Mount Rainier as well. So this little speck right here, this is Mount Rainier being picked up on the radar, so just ignore that. Maybe a little cell trying to form near Ashford maybe. We'll see what happens with all of that. But some stubborn cells trying to hang on near the Cascades of Yakima County. These will move into extreme southeastern King and extreme eastern Pierce counties in the next hour or so. Just a reminder, once again, these are extremely slow moving storms. So there will be a chance of flash flooding in areas where the storms dump rain on the most over a given period of time, since these are only moving at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Now that I got that out of the way, let's go and look at some more models real fast. Hang on, gotta answer a new comment or a new question that I got on Facebook real quick. I think someone just commented on my post I made about Packwood. Okay, yes. Is it a dry storm or is there rain with it? Still hoping no fires are started by lightning. There we go. And Michelle Brown Gleckel says, love the information. You know your weather. Thank you. Just got another update. Okay, those are climate reports. So never mind that. So see here, it's showing Olympia actually broke a high of 92 today. So let me see if it shows any. Might have just opened a new tab there. Hang on. Nope, I think we're safe. So maximum temp of 92 recorded at Olympia. So if I'm not mistaken, that's four straight 90 plus degree days seen at Olympia Regional Airport, which is incredible, especially for this time of year. Really fascinating to see that happen in real life. So the streak of 90 plus degree days at SeaTac is broken, or I mean, has fallen short. Excuse me. We have not broken that record. So we had 3 plus 90 degree days. Today falls short at 88 degrees. You see where I can find it real quick. I just had it for a second. There we go. So the maximum temperature was 88 degrees. So we fell short of 90 today at SeaTac. If anything else stands out, not that I can see. refresh the subscriber counter, see if we got any new subscribers in the last 10 minutes. It doesn't appear as if that's the case. That's fine. So nothing for Portland yet. Trying to multitask here, so bear with me, everybody. Toby Barnett says hardly a breeze here in northwest Snohomish County. Yeah, so due to the high pressure over us right now, the air pattern is relatively stagnant, which is why the smoke has prolonged as long as it has today. But some of that low-level flow is starting to pick up and drive that smoke out of here, thankfully. As the high pressure starts to weaken and the low pressure begins to move in, we'll begin to get some of that low-level flow that'll really help keep the wildfire smoke out of here. It may blow some of that smoke east into eastern Washington, however. So anyone watching from eastern Washington, do be advised you could be getting some of our fire smoke in the next few days. Out of curiosity, let's just pull up a sounding and see what it says. So not much in terms of instability, at least for hour 56 for this model for the Tacoma area. So I'm going to check out hour 26 of the run. So this is tomorrow at 13Z. No, excuse me. This is 20Z. So this is tomorrow at 1300 hours or 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I'm going to pull a sounding on this one little cell down here in the Nisqually Valley. See what it has to say. Not very good. Really shallow mid and upper level lapse rates. Even the low level lapse rates are pretty pathetic. So the lapse rate is the angle at which this red solid line is relative to the white dashed line here. So if you had steep lapse rates, this red line would be much farther away from the white line. And the intersection point, or the EL, the equilibrium level, would be much higher up here. And then you'd have the high-topped mature storms that you usually see out in the Midwest. Not a real favorable hodograph for wind shear. See, there's basically no low-level flow going on here at the moment that I took this sounding. So this is 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time for the Nisqually Valley region. Not much instability. The moisture is there. Really nice moisture axis. See, the difference between the green line and the red line is pretty much non-existent as you go into the upper levels of the atmosphere. But down here, see a little bit of dry air near the surface, but that really starts to moisten as you ascend into the atmosphere a bit. So what you really want to see is you really want to see this LFC, this level of free convection, down lower towards where the LCL, or the predicted base of the clouds, is going to be. So this is where clouds will begin to condense, aka the lifted condensation level. If you have your LFC farther down and your EL farther up, then you'll have greater sufficient instability for storms to take advantage of. So let's look at 4 p.m. in the Seattle area. See, a little bit more favorable hodograph image here. You have a little bit of turning in the low levels. So from 0 to 1, you see it's not great in terms of magnitude, but the direction-wise, yeah, there is a little bit of low-level turning. But see, we have non-applicable bulk shear, which is not good. So we want some bulk shear if we want some really robust storms to form. Slightly better mid and low-level lapse rates, but we still have a little bit of surface-based convective inhibition going on here. So you see where the red line is to the right of the white dashed line right here. This is inhibition. So this is where a parcel of saturated air cannot rise on its own. So this is where the more elevated storm risk kind of comes into play here. I'm going to go a little bit forward in time and see if we can get some more instability going here. We have a little bit greater distance. The equilibrium level is moving up, but we have extremely high base storms here due to the low moisture content. That's not great for storm development, I'm afraid. So in this case, most unstable parcel CAPE is 115 joules per kilogram. In the event of the surface-based CAPE, only 22 joules per kilogram, but negative 154 joules per kilogram of convective inhibition. We have quite a bit of what's called a warm nose here. So you want that warm nose to erode, and you want this capping inversion to erode if you really want surface-based storms to begin taking off in this environment, which does not look likely given the lack of low-level moisture and low-level instability. With all that being said, we're going to go back and look at radar scope here real quick. So this last update, I believe, was 612. So let's take a look and see just how much has moved in the last 15 minutes or so. Yeah, just got a new scan. This is 6:26 p.m. See, over the last 15 minutes, it's moved maybe 2 miles at most. And lots of lightning coming up ahead of the storm now. There's a good chance that this is dry lightning around here. The so-called wet lightning would be closer to the core of the storm. So any of this is probably going to get rained out pretty quick, which is good. You don't want to see dry lightning, like is probably striking well ahead of the storm, because lightning can strike 15 plus miles ahead of the storm in ideal condition. So this lightning strike, for example, a new lightning strike popped up here recently. This is probably dry lightning, and the fire weather risk is critical at the moment. So it's really not a good sign. But Packwood, you are directly under fire from this strong thunderstorm right now. I believe that the advisory that was in effect will be allowed to expire in 2 minutes. Let's turn on that contour box there. You see the city of Packwood is in this for hail up to 1/4 inch in diameter, so pea size, and wind gusts possibly to 30 miles per hour. Okay, so I just got an update that Forest Road 25 through in the Mount St. Helens area has been closed due to a major landslide at milepost 26. Not good. Just got a new scan in. How is the Whatcom area looking? Hang on, let me switch radars real quick. So still getting, see, just popped up there. Still getting some new lightning strikes. This is north of the Baker River area. Northeast of Baker River. So you see here, this is the upper Baker River Dam right here. This, I believe, is Ross Lake, if I'm not mistaken. It might be Diablo Lake. A little bit north of Highway 20 right now. Moving to the southwest. Extremely slow. So these lightning strikes are coming out maybe anywhere between 1 to 3 miles or so from the center of the storm. So the risk of dry lightning fire starts is high given the environment. But in terms for the rest of Whatcom County, looking dry as a bone at the moment. This area of interest is going to be highlighted Saturday. So I don't know if you were looking, if you were still in the stream when I was showing the model runs. But western Whatcom County, Bellingham area in particular, could be under the gun for maybe even a prolific lightning show Saturday and Sunday due to that upper level trough stalling over the Olympic Peninsula and bringing in that southeasterly flow into western Skagit and Whatcom counties, as well as a majority of the Vancouver, BC metro as well. So watch out for Saturday and Sunday. You could be in for it, thunderstorm-wise. You said, I think you mentioned it earlier. Yes, I believe I did. Just depends on how earlier. Yeah. Some of these showers are beginning to move into eastern King County now. So still maybe some rain on the descent from Snoqualmie Pass into eastern Washington. Not very much going on the western Washington side, though. You will have to watch this area closely. There's some enhancement going on there. We have to see how this interacts with Mount Rainier, like that storm earlier that erupted in strength after a move around the south side of Mount Rainier. That is orographic lift in a nutshell. So terrain enhanced lift caused by mountains or hills that can temporarily intensify the strength of thunderstorms. So I'll be keeping my eyes peeled on this area. You're watching this area too as it moves into either Pierce or Lewis counties. But right now, the area in particular that we're watching is Packwood area. Okay, Toby says I'm a Smoky Point. I'm in Oso, friends around Darrington. Yeah, so your areas the next couple of days are going to be the area to watch due to this monsoonal moisture being dragged in by the series of troughs that are moving in as they begin to cut off from the jet stream and undercut the upper level ridge in place over us. That's given us the more pleasant weather. So that ridge is going to begin to lift north and weaken, and that's going to allow these troughs to come in and skirt us, including the one on Saturday and Sunday that's just going to sit over us and then move right back out to sea. After that, it's kind of fantasy at the moment. Yeah, I need to update my post for Packwood now that the advisory has expired. I just sent it early on accident. I was looking for the comma, but I hit the enter button on accident. So I updated my post for Packwood saying that the advisory has since been allowed to expire. So there's no confusion. There's been confusion in the past on a few of my posts, especially the posts concerning the heat advisory. Okay, so just getting an update now. This time is from the Weather Prediction Center, the WPC. Let me go ahead and switch over to this screen real quick. So the new day one excessive rainfall outlook has just released, and parts of National Weather Service in Portland have been included in this marginal risk. So at least 5% of seeing flash flooding within 25 miles of said contour. See the slight risks for the Sierras as well as parts of the desert Southwest and Rocky Mountains. So at least 15% of seeing flash flooding within a 25-mile point, within 25 miles of a point within the yellow contour. So part of these are included. See, just a little sliver of Portland's county warning area is included in this marginal flash flood risk. That's just what it's showing right here. While I'm hanging around, I'm going to see what's going on with the new Her run. We're at 39 out of 48 frames right now. Oh, this could be very interesting if this develops. This just in. So this is 1 a.m. Thursday. It shows a storm complex forming here between the coast and southwest Washington. This is 4 a.m. Thursday. At 5 a.m. Thursday, we could have multi-cell clusters moving up the I-5 corridor. This will be something to keep close tabs on. But the instability profile is not really there. See, way too warm above the ground here. And the instability profile doesn't even start until about 3 kilometers up. But between the 3 kilometer mark and the 9 kilometer mark, we do have a little bit of instability, where the white dashed line is farther right than the red solid line. So you see the most unstable parcel, which is this measure right here, is 109 joules per kilogram of CAPE with no inhibition. And slightly better lapse rates. See, the mid to upper level lapse rates are anywhere between 6 and 7 degrees Celsius per kilometer. For the best storm chances, you usually want to see these above 7 degrees per kilometer, upwards of 8 degrees per kilometer. Those are the most favorable lapse rates for seeing strong to potentially severe thunderstorms. So this is 6 a.m., 7 a.m., possible thunderstorms over Olympia. 8 a.m., maybe a thunderstorm over central Mason County. And then 9 a.m., potential scattered thunderstorms between southeastern Jefferson counties, northeastern Mason, and southern Kitsap counties. And then that's where the last frame cuts off, is at frame 41 right now. Let me go pull this up in Weatherbell so I can get a better zoom angle. There we go. This will show it in the highest resolution. See, this is showing the exact same thing. So this is midnight Thursday. Potential for isolated thunderstorms to form over Pacific, Grace Harbor, parts of Lewis, Thurston, and potentially Mason counties very early in the morning Thursday. And watch as these start to move north slowly and then begin to dissipate as we head into the afternoon time on Thursday. See what the lightning flash density has to say. Yes, so really good chance of seeing dense lightning flashes in the southwest interior and Willapa Hills area in the early morning hours of Thursday before sunrise. You could see some of those lightning flashes over the Seattle area as we start to go into the afternoon time. Sorry, I was just checking my watch. So, looks like confidence is beginning to increase in seeing some isolated storms southwest of Seattle as we go into Thursday morning. So, out of curiosity too, let's put this in the animation for Wednesday morning. He's showing maybe some lightning flashes over the Seattle area early tomorrow morning. And reflectivity does reflect this as well. Could see widespread lightning flashes along Lewis, Pacific, and northern Cowlitz counties as we go into the afternoon time tomorrow. And some of this activity could stretch over Tacoma as well as we start to go into lunchtime. See, this shows the same thing. So tomorrow could be a good storm chase day if you're in the Tacoma area, barring any new developments. I do really like what this recent run of the HER is showing. It's just not really lining up with what the NAM has to show, which is a little concerning. You usually want to see good model agreement between the CAM models, which are all of the high resolution short range ones. So see, if we were to look at the 0Z starting to render now. But not showing remotely close to the same story for the NAM as compared to the HER. It might have been picking up on this storm solution here earlier, and the HER may be starting to catch up on it. See, this is 2 a.m. Thursday. It has maybe some isolated storms over central Grace Harbor County. And then it supports possibly some storm activity early Thursday morning over the Seattle I-5 corridor area. And maybe another pop-up cell here late Thursday night in the convergence zone area. Does it look like it will come west more? We're going to get hit with a storm here in Milton. The answer to that is a hard no. So Colleen Martin on Facebook is asking, does it look like it will come west more? So to answer that question, I'm going to say yes, but only to a degree. Only a little bit, not very much. Switch back to radar scope here briefly. Yeah, that cell over Snoqualmie Pass not doing very much at the moment. But just as I suspected here, getting some orographic enhancement from this cell moving into eastern Pierce County here at the moment. So still getting some lightning popping up here on the outskirts of this. Okay, never mind. Just got a new scan in just now. So I'm currently watching this cell here moving into eastern Pierce County. It appears that the lightning has really begun to slow down over this Packwood cell. So Randall is next in line. If this cell can hold on, then Randall has a chance of getting maybe some dry lightning strikes before the cell itself moves in. Because lightning can strike up to 15 miles away from the parent thunderstorm. See, this lightning strike here, since it's outside of the zone of precipitation, was most likely a dry lightning strike. Just did it again, guys. I went to go hit the comma button. No, I went to go hit the apostrophe button, and I just hit enter again. Fat fingering. Okay, I think I just got done answering questions on Facebook. Do we have any more questions on YouTube to those of you watching? So thank you all for liking and sharing the stream. It is appreciated more than you will ever know. We're currently at 8 viewers, 12 stream likes. We've been going for a little over an hour and a half at the moment. So really liking what I'm seeing so far, guys. Appreciate it more than you will ever know. Let me just check the live sub counter, see if it's gone up anymore. So, yes, we are now at 347 YouTube subscribers and counting. So I'm afraid we most likely will fall well short of the 400 sub goal, but that's okay. Kind of expected it with the time of day and the time of week that it is, that the performance would not really be there. Now, by this time, the full per 3km 0Z run should be fully rendered, so now we can see this in its entirety. And yes, that's good because the last few frames, some really interesting items have been popping up. This is Thursday at 5 p.m. It shows strong, maybe even an isolated severe storm over the Cascades of western and eastern Washington popping up out of thin air. So this is for Thursday. So starting at 2 p.m., and then going 3, 4, and 5 p.m. So Snoqualmie Pass and surrounding areas will have to watch this cell closely. It'll probably be plus or minus 2 hours, so prepare for maybe a thunderstorm over Snoqualmie Pass Thursday afternoon, anywhere between probably 3 and 7 p.m. And the location is not firm, so this cell could be farther north, south, west, or east. The prolific lightning producers over the Cascades on Thursday afternoon. So this is surface-based CAPE, or available potential energy. We just had the 1Z start rendering, so I'm going to switch back to the 0Z. So this is today at 5 p.m. This is assuming we can get any surface-based action going, which is unlikely given the moisture profile being narrow and in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. So we most likely will not have any surface-based activity. I just realized I'm not even showing this model, so hang on. Okay, there we go. So we're now on the 0Z, HER 3KM, showing surface-based CAPE. This is instability in the atmosphere. Assuming any storms can take advantage of surface-based diurnal heating, which just means daytime heating. You'll see some crazy staggering numbers for the Cascades here. The max is probably the Cascades of Skagit County, which is well over 4,400 joules per kilogram of CAPE. And then this is sort of like a respiration cycle. So it increases, and it decreases, and it increases and decreases with daytime heating. Let's go to tomorrow, see what tomorrow has to say. See how there's not a lot of surface-based CAPE around the Puget Sound tomorrow. It's because any storm is most likely going to be elevated, so it won't take advantage of this CAPE parcel. As we go into Thursday, a little bit different story. If we can get clear conditions and a little bit of a better low-level moisture profile, we could have storms take advantage of the daytime heating at the ground, which would give us more widespread thunderstorms over the sound, in theory. You see, we have 585 joules per kilogram of surface-based CAPE here at JBLM at 5 p.m. Thursday, if it were to be taken advantage of. Interesting enough to see Thursday afternoon, too, we have some supercell composites showing up. It's not much. We only have, at most, 1.9 supercell composite, which is probably the higher terrains of the Olympic Mountains, perhaps. Okay, 2.2 supercell composite at 3 p.m. Thursday over the Olympics. So this would be the best chance of seeing a supercell thunderstorm. If we can get an elevated thunderstorm to really take off and intensify in the environment, the areas of green are theoretically the best chances you would see it become a supercell thunderstorm, which is a self-sustaining updraft that rotates on its own. It'll easily become a mesocyclone in a highly sheared environment like this, so that will bear some watching in the near future. See some pretty ridiculous PW values over the Puget Sound. So this is the monsoonal moisture that gets ejected north out of the desert southwest. You see how this moves up through the Puget Sound Basin and then up into Vancouver, BC and surrounding areas. There's plenty of upper level moisture there. We just can't get the surface level moisture to line up very well. The relative humidity values at this time are pretty close to 100% in some areas. 95% relative humidity here Thursday morning in the Tacoma area. 100% here on the coast. And this is surface level humidity too. So for a short time, it looks like there's favorable humidity for storms to take advantage of if they were to take off. Not doing much outside of precipitation, outside of some heavier showers in the North Cascades, and this heavier band of showers possibly associated with thunderstorm activity moving up the southwest interior into the Olympia I-5 corridor. Most of this occurs in the early morning hours, as you can see here. It's between 3 a.m. and 8 a.m. This area will get some measurable precipitation. The 1 hour precip rates during this time are rather considerable. See, that's about half an inch per hour just off of Long Beach here for a thunderstorm that could occur at 5 a.m. Thursday. And then maybe an isolated storm here over Olympia producing up to 0.17 inches between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. Thursday, according to the HER high-resolution model. Take a look at the sub count real fast. Looks like we're still hanging on at 347. Now it's time to switch back to the radar. So the most recent scan is at 654 as of right now. This storm that was over Packwood has significantly weakened. Not producing much in terms of lightning now anymore, so that's good. Could still be producing an isolated flood risk where the heaviest showers are, but in the light area of showers as shown in the green and blue contours, most likely not getting any rain reaching the surface because of how the dry nature of these storms are. So, still watching this area of interest here between the Pierce and Yakima County lines. This storm has not moved at all in the last 10 minutes. And good news is it's mostly, if not all, rural land of Pierce County. We just re-intensified there. We just got a new scan in. The newest lightning bolt appears to be about 5 minutes old. Maybe just on the outskirts of precip, so this could have been a dry lightning strike southeast of Randall in Lewis County. Not seeing any lightning yet for this cell here. No more lightning over Snoqualmie Pass. This cell appears to be fizzling. Starting to see a robust cell that just popped up the last few scans here over extreme eastern Skagit County now. We're getting these are definitely dry lightning strikes here. Do you see how these lightning strikes are occurring up to 5 miles out from where the area of precipitation is? 100% these are dry lightning strikes occurring right now. So it'll be interesting to see if there are any new fire starts in the Cascades today. But not seeing much in Whatcom County now. This lightning strike's about 10 minutes old or so. Still watching this storm now that developed recently between Skagit and Chelan counties. This is quite a ways northwest of Stehekin, moving southwest extremely slowly. It's almost stationary. At most, maybe 5 miles per hour. Slight shower here moving into Elby. Probably not getting any precip with this one. Once again, that's Mount Rainier, so don't be confused. It'll be interesting to see if this cell that's about to cross 410 here near Crystal Mountain starts to interact with the terrain features. Like Mount Rainier, for example, we had that storm that intensified a few hours ago that had a special weather statement posted on it. It'd be really fascinating to see how this storm interacts with Mount Rainier, assuming it gets close enough before we lose the daytime heating. Because Sun's starting to set outside soon. 7 o'clock, 7:01 now. And we're going to begin losing daytime heating, and these storms are really going to begin to fizzle off once the sun sets below the horizon. So, 3 areas of interest here at the moment. We're watching this area of precip moving southwest into Randall slowly at about 5 miles per hour. Watching this area of interest here about to cross 410. This is, I believe, a little bit north of Crystal Mountain. We just had our first lightning strike with this. So first lightning strike on the Yakima County side. This is quite a ways northeast of Chinook Pass. This is a little bit northeast, I believe, of Crystal Mountain. So if you know anyone at Crystal Mountain right now, please tell them to get to shelter as soon as possible. We now have lightning from this, and it's probably dry lightning. But this storm is on a collision course with Mount Rainier again, from what we saw earlier. We could have some orographically enhanced storm activity here in the coming minutes. Because this is the area of Crystal Mountain too, so Crystal Mountain could give it enough upscale ascent for a short amount of time to possibly become a strong thunderstorm as it crosses over 410. That being said, it's time for a water break. Yeah, this storm that was up here in Whatcom County producing this lightning earlier is still in an extremely rough terrain that the radar beams, even from the nearby radars, are having a hard time reaching. Just got a new lightning strike that popped up here. This is a little bit to the northwest of New Halem, moving southwest towards the upper Baker River Dam here. We got this cell to its southeast, still producing new lightning strikes. We just had a new lightning strike, and I believe that was another new one right there. So lightning on the Skagit and Chelan sides of this county border here. Okay, new comment. We had a big stretch of time on YouTube with no comments. So new comment from Sparky1 saying, I wonder how much precip would evaporate before hitting the ground. So with a strong storm, nowhere near as much as a weak storm or a shower. For a shower, almost certainly 100% would be evaporating before hitting the ground. Maybe at the least, maybe 10%, 15% even, if you want to be flexible. Say with a shower like this, really anywhere between maybe 40 to 50% of the precipitation is evaporating before hitting the ground. Oh, look at that. Hang on, let's see if we can get that back. I think you guys might have seen that too. Yeah, we just had a lightning strike pop up right here from this cell that's over, I believe this is Ross Lake, feel free to correct me. This lake that Highway 20 crosses over just northeast of New Halem. I did see a lightning strike there for a second. Now it's not showing up again. It's probably because the frames were skipping. So this was a lightning strike that occurred at 6:37 p.m. Yeah, new scan at 7:05 shows no lightning going on. There's probably multiple different storm cells embedded in the mountains here that the radar is not reaching. We got several areas of interest as the sun goes down, because once the sun goes down, the storms are done. Until tomorrow. Sparky1 says that's a high percentage. Yes, so it's probably, I should mention, it's probably going to be a lower percentage of evaporation before the rain hits the ground, the higher up the terrain you are. So if you're in the foothills of the Cascades, it's still probably going to be close to 100% with weaker showers. But if you're in the higher mountainous terrains, like the passes or even the mountain peaks around here, like Mount Baker, for example, Glacier Peak, Mount Rainier, Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens, then the chances of evaporation are much less, considering there's not as much air for the rain to evaporate into. And also, that shallow layer of moisture is closer to the top of the mountain peak, so the chances of evaporation before hitting the top of the peak are much less than lower terrains. Hopefully that answered your question. Yeah, Simpatico Cat says, I'm in Packwood. We were hammered with rain and lightning, but it does look to have passed us now. Temps dropped drastically. Thank you very much for your observation and your post, Simpatico Cat. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate that. Good to hear that you got out of there unscathed. So yes, the threat has passed Packwood. So you may be getting some slight showers, but most likely this is starting to evaporate as it hits the ground. My lightning layer is kind of acting up, so hang on there for a second. Okay, there we go. Storm tracks. I don't usually use storm tracks just because this storm's not moving to the northeast. I just kind of find it inaccurate. Gonna see if we have any storm reports from Packwood. Nothing. Okay, good. So yes, Packwood, you are in the clear. Thank you for your... Okay. Cat says, we'll let you know if things change. You're welcome. Yes, thank you very much, Cat. I do plan for staying on here for perhaps another hour. I may take a food break here shortly just because I'm running off of raw fumes here. So, looks like most of rural southeastern Lewis County is in line for this next storm here. Really, yeah, that lightning strike's about 15 minutes old. So this storm that was in Packwood and moving close to Randall has not produced any lightning in the last 15 minutes. May have to watch this area up here too. So Cat, if you're watching, be advised there's possibly a new area of development here, just south of Chinook Pass. That's moving extremely slow and probably will not survive the sunset. So I have a feeling this will be a low risk for you. Should be nothing to bat an eye over, thankfully. Looks like the Snoqualmie Pass cell that produced some lightning earlier is beginning to fizzle. Then, wow, that's a really long distance lightning strike. Brand new lightning strike with this cell over Skagit and Chelan counties. So this is west of the Highway 20 pass going into Okanagan County. lightning strike. Let's pull out the measurement tool real fast. From the edge of the line of precipitation, this lightning strikes about 4 miles from the base of the storm. So 100% that was just a dry lightning strike that occurred over extreme eastern Skagit County. So it's whenever I zoom out, the lightning contour kind of acts up. And still watching a few isolated areas of development near the Highway 20 area. This cell will be moving into the upper Baker River Dam area. There's still, if there's any civilization out here, there's really nothing to be worried about with that. Thank you. So glad to have someone covering our area. Yes, thank you, Kat, again for tuning in. I have a few recommendations for YouTube channels as well that you can watch for much more sparse coverage. They post much more frequently than I do here on my YouTube page, although I do eventually want to change that. It's just I haven't had much time to do the daily briefings recently with all the vacations and the traveling. But now that I have the time, I should be able to get back into the groove of doing the forecast briefings, especially during times of potential storms like today through the end of the weekend. Sparky1 says, thanks for answering. Yes, thank you for asking, Sparky. And Toby Burnett says, hopefully no fires. Yes, cross my fingers as well for no fires. Seeing a lot of robust lightning activity well outside of the range of this storm over Skagit County. So this is probably the greatest concern right now for dry fire starts would be over the Cascades of Skagit County. Okay, oh boy, just got a new lightning strike in the center of the storm, a little bit southeast of Randall. Good news is, if there was a brush fire started with this, the rainfall over that area should hopefully put it out quick. Bear with me, sending out a few more page invites real quick. I'm seeing a lot of people reacting to my posts that are not followers, so sending out as many page invites as I possibly can. So, in theory, if everyone were to accept the page invites that I sent out, we'd be well over 20K by now. And the analytics are showing that over 80% of people in the last 28 days that have viewed my posts are not followers of the page. Which is a pretty incredible stat to think of in retrospect. I think I just sent out another three dozen or so page invites. Okay, so I think we should be good on that. All right, new comment from Sparky1. Most of the Pacific Crest Trail through hikers are now in Oregon and Washington. They're going to get hammered the next few days. That is most likely true. Yes. Then again, still far from certain on storm coverage or what the storm mode is going to be. You know, it'd be interesting to see if we have lines of storms form or if we're going to get discrete cells that could produce favorable hazards like strong damaging winds and large hail. That is all to be determined. It's most likely going to be a nowcast scenario, which is a prime time to be on a stream like this when we're nowcasting. Because a lot of this activity, like the exact location of these storms, was not picked up on the high-res model runs today or any of the past few days. This is why it's always critical to have somebody watching the radar as these events happen. And that's also what makes the storm spotter network critical. You know, it doesn't bode well in areas of like hinterlands like these where you can't get to by car. But as storms begin to move into more civilized areas, this is where the storm spotter network becomes crucial to the cause. So yes, I do agree with you, Sparky, that the hiker trails are going to be in the bullseye the next few days. I realized too, throughout the duration of this stream, I have not pulled up Windy, the windy.com app, one time. So while that's going off, let me go ahead and switch to this cool satellite image on windy.com right now. It just shows you really robust activity going on over the Rocky Mountains right now. Like, this is monsoonal moisture to a T going on all around here right now. So these are the cells over the northern Cascades. This is the cell over Packwood. These are within the last hour. So this is the animation with smoothing frames on. You notice how you have very little movement with these storms. They're pretty much stagnant. Maybe even a little activity trying to pop up off the coast of Clatsop County, Oregon. And this is with the lightning contours on. Maddie Smith, welcome to the stream. She says, is there any chance of it moving towards Mossy Rock? So, by the end of the night, I'm going to say no. Mossy Rock's way out here, and these storms are only moving at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And they're being fueled by the sun. So as soon as the sun sets, you lose your primary source of lift for these storms, and they'll start to die. It collapse onto themselves. The updrafts will no longer be sustainable for storm activity. So while I can't count out maybe hearing a rumble of thunder tonight, I highly doubt that these storms are going to make it any farther west than Ashford and Randall, respectively, tonight. So, Maddie, thank you for tuning in. I hope that answered your question. Seeing activity popping up around the BC mainland as well. So, yeah, really robust storm activity going on all around California, Oregon, Idaho, Nevada. Oh, yeah. This is all monsoonal moisture as well. The trail is east of the volcanoes. Thank you for your clarification. Yes. So east of the volcanoes will be your best bet for seeing robust storms through the weekend. For sure. The eastern Cascade crest is usually favorable for monsoonal moisture environments like this. So if I leave it on this map, it'll show the lightning flashes in real time as they occur. In other news, we are at 19,574 followers on Facebook. We are only 426 followers away from the big 20K on Facebook. And there's going to have to be a huge celebration for that, because that is a huge, huge milestone. Like, it's truly amazing that I've gotten to this point so soon. I never would have imagined it. Sparky says, I love that satellite, a lot of definition. I agree. I do use windy.com satellite primarily. However, there are other great pages for satellite, such as the College of DuPage, for example. NOAA, I believe, has their own proprietary satellite on their website. There's a few other satellites people use. Like, I'm not sure which satellite Michael uses. If you know who he is, he's the lead forecaster for Pacific Northwest Weather Watch on YouTube. He always starts out and ends his daily briefings with a look at the satellite, typically. Just got an update from here. Okay, just climate reports again. Anyways. Yes, we are starting to see some activity pop up west of Astoria and Cannon Beach. Troutdale, Oregon hit 92 today. Portland 93. Hillsboro 93. Eugene 95. Vancouver 94. Really impressive numbers out there. I follow Michael Snyder. Yes, I too follow Michael Snyder. He's, I'd have to say, him and Cliff Mass have to be probably neck and neck for the best forecasters in the Pacific Northwest. I'm a huge fan of both of them. I know that there have been disagreements from time to time, but I choose to omit those disagreements just because I'm non-political. And I only care about the weather, not necessarily the climatology behind it, which Cliff sometimes talks about in his blog posts. Okay, Toby says he follows him on X. Sparky1 agrees. Oh yeah, back to the satellite. We're getting some upscale growth off the coast here with this possibly developing cell. Does appear to be moving west offshore, so that's good for any chance of dry lightning. Anything will stay off the coast for this one. These ones we really got to keep our eyes on, but okay, just got another subscriber. Just got the updates. Okay, looks like my smart clock has caught up, so yes, we're at 348 subs and counting. My goal was to hit 400 tonight. I know I'm going to fall well short of that, but that's okay. If we can get to 350 subs by tonight, which I'm almost 100% sure we can do that, then I will consider this stream a success. Most likely I will be going live tomorrow, but I think I'm going to alternate between YouTube and Facebook. OBS Studio doesn't allow me to simulcast streams. I would have to go to Streamlabs to do that. But I don't believe I have the resources right now to be monitoring two different streams. It's just, I want to focus on one stream and just go with that. That way I don't get absolutely bulldozed with questions, comments, and concerns. Because I don't have a moderation team. I'm just myself. That's it. I'm the moderator, I'm the founder, I'm the sole proprietor, I'm the bookkeeper, the accountant, whatever you want to be. I do it all 100% myself. So the last thing I want to do is start to overwhelm myself during a huge event like this. You can see some smoke from the Bear Gulch fire showing up on satellite. Not much smoke coming from Vancouver Island at the moment, but just a little bit of smoke aloft coming from this fire that has spread around the Puget Sound. Sparky1 says, I will see you tomorrow on YouTube. That is still to be determined. So if you have Facebook, follow me at Puget Sound Stormwatch on Facebook. I will most likely be streaming on Facebook because I am eligible for monetization benefits on Facebook as well. Sparky says, you're doing a great job. Don't forget about, I'm guessing that means YouTube. It auto-corrected to U-Time. Yes, so I will not be forgetting about YouTube. I could also do it too so that I do a split stream on YouTube and then go to Facebook, or the other way around, just to sort of distribute the audience evenly. I know a lot of people on YouTube don't follow me on Facebook because they don't have Facebook, and I totally respect that. So, yeah, Sparky says you don't have Facebook. Okay, that explains a lot. Although, if you go on Facebook as a guest, you might be able to. Don't quote me on that, but you might be able to see my streams as a guest if you don't have an account. You just wouldn't be able to post comments or like the stream. That's the only difference. But don't quote me on that. Okay, time for yourself. Yes, this is true. That's the reason why I didn't hop on this stream earlier in the day, was because I was outside of the studio at the time doing yard work and celebrating my brother's birthday at the same time. So since my lawn wasn't mowed in 6 or 7 days, it had to be cut first thing once I got back into town. So I did that, did all the yard work, and I'm starting to see some spam comments come in on Facebook, so I'm going to have to go and moderate that later on because, well, you know your popular Facebook page when you start to deal with the trolls and the spammers all the time. And you get the ones that post the links, like saying, like, oh, you know, this person passed away and whatnot. I've gotten to the point where I just instantly ban those fake accounts from my page. That way it takes away all of the spam comments at one time for said user, so I don't have to go through and keep deleting each individual comment. Yes, and Patio Cat says, I don't have Facebook either. I would definitely stay with you on YouTube. So the deal with YouTube is I'm currently not eligible for monetization due to the fact that they don't have the minimum amount of subscribers or watch hours. While yes, I could stream more on YouTube to build and develop the page to get to that goal, I just have a much larger audience that is willing to support me on Facebook. And so during huge storm events, like back in March when we had that busted storm event that never really came to fruition, I gained over $100 in one-time donations on Facebook because I'm eligible for that there. So the earliest stage of monetization on YouTube is what's called the Supers program, and I believe it's in tiers. So you could send a minimum amount of donations in the form of super chats on YouTube, but I would have to have, I believe, a minimum of 3 video uploads in a month, which is easy, but also 3,000 public watch hours annually. So it's just something that's going to have to develop over time. But for Facebook, I like streaming preferably on Facebook because it gives all of those options for support and monetization right off the bat. Kat says, we will have to get the word out. If you could do so, please do. That would be a huge ask from me, but a necessary one to say the least. So I would be extremely, extremely thankful if you shared this stream and shared the channel with your folks. That way I can start to begin streaming on YouTube more often and really start to get these briefings out, hopefully on a daily basis. I was doing pretty good on the briefings until I had that sudden untimely death in my family, and then it just fell apart. But I'm really hoping to get my foot back into the ground and get the ball rolling again, hopefully for a permanent amount of time. So thank you everyone who has tuned in to the stream, left a like. We're at 13 likes, 8 viewers at the moment. Our peak viewership was 13 viewers at, I believe this was 5:59 p.m. and 6:13 p.m. we also had 13 viewers at once. So most likely just because of the time of day and the day of the week, it being a Tuesday afternoon is not favorable for an audience, but still was a risk that I wanted to take. So I'm really glad it turned out the way it did. I also got to rest my voice a little bit to make sure I don't burn out my voice box before the really huge events that are possible going into this weekend. We could have a widespread thunderstorm outbreak if models continue to agree on a trend for Saturday and Sunday, as that upper level trough just parks over the Olympic Peninsula for a day and then goes back out to the ocean. So I post regular updates on Facebook to my blog. I've seen a lot of good reviews about Patreon. Would anyone be willing to join a Puget Sound Stormwatch Patreon? Because if you are, I will definitely take the steps to begin that Patreon page. And something else I should mention too. I don't think I let the YouTube audience know this yet, but the Facebook audience is well aware that the Puget Sound Stormwatch store has been launched on spreadshop.com. Let me just make sure I can log into it real fast. Yeah, so I launched my store about 2 weeks ago or so. Unfortunately, I don't have a single sale yet. Okay, and this just in as well. The heat advisory has just been allowed to expire for all of Western Washington. There are no longer any heat alerts valid. Yes, so heat advisory will expire at 8 p.m. this evening. Widespread moderate heat risk is no longer expected with cooler temperatures Wednesday and Thursday. Therefore, the advisory will be allowed to expire. All right, I'm going to give you guys a quick preview of the Stormwatch shop. This is PugetSoundStormwatch.myspreadshop.com. This is what the main page would look like. We've got 4 designs currently launched, including the Let Me Take a Shelfie design, Status Quo, the Puget Sound Stormwatch logo. Actually, let me make, okay, yes, I do have 4. I got scared there for a second. And the heavily requested Every Cloud Has a Story shirt. So I made this random quote in reply to a commenter on Facebook a couple months ago, and it said, every cloud has a story in it. I had several people ask, like, hey, you should put this on a shirt or a mug or something, and we'd buy it. So I launched this product. See, it's on shirts, it's on a hat, bag, sweatshirts, a mug, several designs of hats, including this beanie right here. So I've got several designs going right now. These should be customizable. Yeah, I should have made it. So yes, you should be able to customize the designs for yourself. The prices, I'm afraid, are a little bit steep. I did cheapen these a little bit just because there's a base price that I cannot flex. I can only flex the price of the payment that I would get. So I've actually made these shirts and designs a little bit cheaper, which does cost for me a little bit. Unfortunately, it does result in a little bit of loss for revenue for me. But I have a feeling if I lower my prices that it will increase the interest for sales. So if you guys are interested, it's PugetSoundStormwatch.myspreadshop.com. I also have the link for this pinned on my Facebook page, and I will be putting it on any future YouTube uploads as well if you're interested. Okay, don't use Patreon either. Okay, stay with YouTube as a broader reach. Just my opinion. Agree, Toby. Less spam also. Okay, so Patreon would just be an extra outlet for monetization. So anyone who would be willing to become a Patreon member to support if you don't have Facebook, because I currently am not eligible for YouTube memberships at the moment. I believe I would have to get up to 3,000 public watch hours for that, which I'm still very far from. So if anyone who's not on Facebook is willing to monetarily support the YouTube channel, I would be opening Patreon as an extra outlet. I do also have PayPal and Venmo too, so if you're interested in sending any one-time donations, I'm not going to ask or demand this, because the last thing I want to be is stingy or desperate. So if you're willing to send a one-time donation through PayPal or Venmo, I do have those outlets available, and you can send a DM to me and I can make those public. But otherwise, no big deal. I have no problem doing this for free. I do, most of my revenue is from either ad revenue on Facebook or through subscriptions on Facebook, which are 99 cents per month. So yeah, so I have 4 designs at the moment on the Stormwatch store for anyone interested. I do plan on releasing more designs here in the near future. I just haven't had much time to get down and creative with this. You know, I released all of these designs before I went on these trips. So I have, let me take a shelfie, Status Quo. You see, most of these are puns because I'm known for my puns, so I might as well make some profit off of my puns. This is the Puget Sound Stormwatch logo. So it's the small design logo for the shirts and sweatshirt. No, not for the sweatshirts, just for the shirts. Sweatshirts are the full design. The hats and whatnot are also the full design. But the shirts are the little streamlined design, and these are customizable. You have it for the beanie, for the bucket hat, even the water bottle, sweatshirts, the crew necks, mugs, bags, baseball caps, and so on. So right now, it's just a simple design, and once again, customizable. So this is what it looks like zoomed up. They have the faded background with the blur and the clear background, which I think looks really, really cool. See, the back of the shirt is plain, side of the shirt is plain. These should be customizable as far as I know. I'm hoping it's just not the logo that's customizable, but yeah, I do also, I have had some promos going. So like for the first 2 weeks, I had 25% off everything. Unfortunately, no one took advantage of that, I'm afraid, but I believe sometime in September, I'm going to be having a promo going on this site for up to 15% off, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're interested, this is another way to monetarily support Puget Sound Stormwatch, since this is now considered my full-time job. You know, I forecast the weather, post on my blog, go live, and post YouTube videos as my full-time job. But now back to the weather. So I got an update from a Carlene Gonzalez on Facebook saying already hear thunder, but they did not give a location. I'm going to guess probably someone in the Cascade foothills of Skagit and Whatcom counties, or down in the Randall area. I think these updrafts are starting to die out a little bit because we're losing quite a bit of daylight. So these storms are really going to begin to die out here shortly. Then we wait till tomorrow when we get the next impulse of daytime heating and see what happens. Okay, the 1Z her is fully rendered. See what it has to say over 18 hours. Alright, so the her is showing maybe a little bit of the shower activity hanging on till late tonight, but the storms completely fizzle out in the north. And then could have some activity again as soon as sunrise tomorrow. So, assuming I wake up at a good time, be covering this activity down here because this looks intriguing to me. Could have widespread thunderstorms along the Lewis County I-5 corridor later tomorrow morning if this model were to verify. And just to make sure, lightning flash potential is there. It's not great, but it is there, especially later on in the morning time, the farther south and west of Tacoma you are. So with that, guys, I really need to rest my voice. It looks like we're just one sub shy of 350, but I believe I am going to call it for the night. I've been streaming for just under 2.5 hours. In 30 seconds, it'll be 2.5 hours. Let's see. So for views. All right. So we hit a total of 212 stream views. We have 13 likes on the stream and 8 viewers at the moment. So rather okay stream. Not my most successful stream, but still an alright stream for what it's worth. Total follower count on Facebook is 19,581 followers. We are 419 away from the big 20K. I will likely be doing a celebration stream on Facebook for that. Okay, Toby and Sparky both say thanks for the stream. Rest up and have a good night. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it more than you have any idea of. So we're going to end this with a look at the radar on Windy. You can definitely tell these storms are starting to lose steam, so it's a great time to call it for sure. So with all of that being said, unless there's any last minute comments, questions, or concerns, I'm going to end the stream for tonight. I'll give you guys a minute, take a water break real quick, and see if there's any other comments. Otherwise, it's going to be it for the night. All right, I believe that's it. So we're going to call the stream tonight. I appreciate you guys again for tuning in. I will likely be going live on Facebook for at least a little bit tomorrow. It seems like due to the high demand for streaming on YouTube, I will also be streaming on YouTube for a little bit of tomorrow. All of this is going to be determined like with extremely short notice. So just be on standby in case I do go live on either site. Have a great night, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you again for tuning in. This was Anthony with Puget Sound Stormwatch on Facebook and YouTube. I am signing out, and you all have a great night.